Welcome to the Daily BEEShow with Matty B. We have got a duo in today, which is absolutely awesome. We've got Kem and Ben in the house to help us out, help me out, and help you guys out, learning all about healthy body, healthy life, healthy eating, and just some of the philosophies and some of the practices and some of the things that we've got a lot of things that, well, I've got a lot of things that I grew up with, and these guys have been debunking a whole heap of different perspectives, views, and understandings. And I just had to get Benjamin back on for the second time on the show, and Kem is going to join us because she's absolutely beautiful, a head full of knowledge too. Hey Holly, hey Joe, how are you guys? Let's get the show on the road. Hello, beautiful people. Can we get some headphones and one in each of you?
Oh, cool. Do you know where headphones are?
Yeah.
Just there.
That'd be awesome.
I'm hearing my voice. Hey, Kem, how are you doing, beautiful?
Oh, wait, but you've got the charger.
That's all right.
Okay, cool.
Let's get
How are you
ready.
doing, Matt?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. It's been a pretty epic start to the year.
Nice.
How about you guys?
Sounds
How's
like it.
2019 kicked in?
Yeah, it's off to a flying start. There was
That
no
it
soft
is.
entrance. It was just straight in.
Shit, no. So far from a soft entrance. So, first of all, can you guys take a little time to introduce yourselves? Ben, you've been on the show before, but we've got a lot of new viewers since then. And Cam, introduce yourself as well, if you could, and let the viewers know who these two awesome, beautiful faces are talking to them tonight.
So I am Benjamin Malo. That's my muggle's name. We're based in the Gold Coast. I help people basically break through huge psychological, emotional, spiritual barriers and create the life they want. And yeah, that's my
Awesome.
thing.
Awesome. Muggle's name is
You guys
Kem.
looking really comfy.
Yeah, we're pretty comfy. Muggle's name is Kem, also, living in the Gold Coast. And so I'm an English teacher and also have a background in studying a lot of health-related topics and helping people to break through their health barriers and also emotional breakthrough stuff as well.
Epic. I love it. And you guys make me nervous.
Yes!
Yeah. You make my arsehole sweat, as one would say.
That's my favorite line.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, look, ever since connecting with you guys, it's been like, well, Ben, you're always sending me, dropping bits of knowledge and sort of rabbit holes for me to deep dive into and sending me chasing my tail and round and about, which is always fun and full of lots of information, and just coming over the night and spending that time with you guys and just getting into some epic conversations about the big, the little, and everything in between. But one of the things was this whole journey of getting into understanding who you are, what you are, and the part that food and energy and sustenance plays in our being here and what we're doing. So how about, I don't know, like, where do you guys want to start? Where do you want to take it from? Maybe from where you were before kicking off, and getting to where you were, and some of the challenges you faced maybe on the start of this journey.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
So when I was about 16, my dad actually got a brain tumor, just straight into the heavy stuff right here. And
deep dive, man.
yeah, it was full on. It like really impacted our whole family, and he wasn't working and stuff, and it was really scary because it just kind of came out of nowhere, and that got me asking a lot of questions about how do these kind of things happen, what creates that. And around the same time, I actually started taking a real dive in my energy levels. I remember from about the age of 17, I was suffering from depression and my emotions were just always flat. And I had constant, what's called brain fog, like the feeling you get when you're just waking up, but I had that all the time. And just always felt scattered and anxious, and my memory was just all over the place. And so that's what really kicked things off for me, because before that I was a pretty energetic sort of kid. And then after that I was like, I felt horrible. And so I started looking at what actually creates a healthy body and how does this kind of stuff happen. So we might leave the tension, jump over to Cam, and then she can build up to her tense point.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, kind of, well, for me, I was probably just in my early 20s when I actually started to really make an actual change. However, like, I remember I was about 15 and I'd say to my stepmom, oh, when I have dairy, I feel like I get a cold, you know, and I'd noticed that I felt a bit congested, and she'd just say, oh, don't be silly and stuff like that. And okay, so I put it off. But then, you know, certain things I'd noticed would make me really bloated, but then I wasn't at the stage where I was paying attention. Anyway, fast forward a few years, and that was about 2021, and for me, it was about 22, 23 actually. So for me, it was around this decision to come off of the contraceptive pill. So like I had gone on it after I'd lost a baby, and then gone on that to make sure that that didn't happen again. So a little bit heavy again. But for me, it was such a revealing thing when I was like, this pill, I started to notice all the stuff it was doing to my body. And then I was like, okay, my awareness of what I was putting into my body just kind of heightened. It was like I started looking into hormones and hormonal imbalance, because I noticed how I felt before I had gone on the contraception and after, and then started to read into how hormones and food are related, and then my whole journey just kind of kicked off from there, and it was like just cleansing everything out. Again, very similar to Ben, I was in a place of depression and brain fog, and I also was experiencing a lot of anxiety, and so was really starting to look into the more holistic side of health, because I was like, I kept going to the doctors and they were like, oh, go on the pill for your depression, go on the pill for your anxiety, and it was just like, what are you telling me, you know? And so from there, I started to do my own research and started to look at how food and hormones had this kind of connection, and then it just led into a lot of other things from there.
And I'd like to hear, there's 7 people on, and I think a lot, if not almost all of them, are women as well. That is such a common occurrence and such a common conversation I'm having with women, that they've taken it or they've gone through it or they've gotten off it, and they've just noticed that it's almost, for a lot of women, it's one of the first major noticeable impacts of something they're putting in. It's to really see that shift and that change. So I'd love to hear, like, just a me or me too, or even if you guys are familiar with other people that have those stories as well, that'd be interesting, because from my perspective and the women I talk to, that is such a common story.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had so many of my friends that like also kind of shared the same story, even if they were on different pills. And like I myself had been on a different pill prior to that one, or different methods of contraception, whatever it is. And I think that kind of chain of similar stories after having gone on this contraception also sparked something in my mind. I was like, okay, this is a pattern. Let's explore that.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Do you feel a lot of people that you work with are at that breaking point, but is that something that sort of gets you going and inspires you to want to share this sort of information so people don't have to get to that breaking point?
100%. I think for me, that's definitely one of the things I'm most passionate about is being really aware of what you're putting in your body, the choices that you make, and womb health. You know, there are so many sectors to that, but even just how, you know, kind of branching off from the mental state that we were both in when we were triggered to explore this journey, how the womb health is affected vice versa by the mental state as well. So yeah, that's a real passion for me.
Yeah, wow. What about yourself, Ben?
Yeah, look, I used to crush up contraceptive pills and snort them, and that created all kinds of problems for me. And
that's where we met, the contraception circle. Was basically what we got into.
I mean, you get a nice little high, but the after effects aren't worth. I'm only joking. That is a joke. We do not snort contraceptive pills. So back to my journey with feeling horrible, I started doing my own research and started to realize that, oh, okay, so if the more natural I eat, the better I'm going to feel. And similar to Cam, I noticed every time I would eat, the Australian wheat bick, hallowed be its name, I would feel like I had to go to sleep. And I was like, why do I always feel so tired after I eat wheat bix or bread or milk or, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, so I started doing some reading, and I just read a whole lot of different books about health and well-being. And through a lot of research and looking at my symptoms, I self-diagnosed, which all doctors and naturopaths and nutritionists will say, don't do that, you flaming idiot. But I think it's a good thing to, have a bit of awareness around where do these symptoms come from. And through looking at all that, I came to the conclusion that I had what's known as candida, which is an overgrowth of gut yeast, which is helpful in the digestion process. But if it goes out of control because your gut flora is not balanced, basically because you killed it using antibiotics and mainstream pharmaceutical drugs, your body gets out of whack. And that's what I think happened to me. I mean, the energy and the brain fog and getting rashes and all kinds of weird stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that looks like candida according to all these people on the internet who've had the exact same thing. And so I started a long journey of cleaning up my diet. And for anyone who's watching this who's been through dealing with candida, it is not something that you can just fix like that, which was so damn frustrating. But in many cases, it takes years.
Can you paint a bit of a picture for those that don't know? Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, can you paint a bit of a picture with that for those that don't know and haven't experienced that?
Yeah, so I started with I started by cutting out wheat because it just made me feel horrible. Yes, I'm one of those gluten-free people that we that we get so annoyed at if we work in hospitality. I cut out dairy. I severely limited sugar. Started cutting back on sugar, and I started feeling better, but it was still nowhere near where I used to be. And I did that over the first year. I started cutting out those things, and then over the following years I started to focus more on eating, whole fresh foods, vegetables. I started cutting out like really high sugar fruits and things like that. And little by little, I'm talking year after year, it just got more and more refined and more back to what my body tells me it loves to eat. And that's brought me all the way up to where I am today. And literally, it's only been this last 12 months that I feel like I've finally dealt with that thing and I've restored health to my gut, and I'm a totally different person.
Yeah, fantastic.
And just to like touch on the candida, what were some of the side effects of this candida that you really felt? Just like for someone who's not really sure.
Yeah, so if you eat carbs and then all of a sudden you feel really tired, or you feel itchy around your groin and around like your ears and in your armpits, and maybe you feel brain fog, like you wake up in the morning and you just feel foggy as hell, and then you might have like a bowl of cereal or a cup of coffee and you like spike, and then after an hour you just feel flat again. These are symptoms not necessarily of candida, but that you need to do something, that probably your gut health is struggling. Yeah, different things like that. And I had the whole oral thrush thing going on, which is really nasty. So yeah, those were some of the. Yeah, I would never show my tongue to people that I was kissing. I was really scared that someone was going to look at my tongue and like, freak out. So yeah, but I've cleaned that up. It's all right. You can kiss me now.
Cool.
Feel a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, okay. So then from there, you've been doing all this research. You've gone through a hell of a fucking journey from where you were and to overcome a lot of your own ailments and symptoms. I guess they're coming up really for you to go on this journey. where is it from here? Like, what are some of the profound sort of changes and things that have really impacted you guys that you find yourself now starting to embody and live just day to day that would probably blow people out of the park with what the majority of mainstream are sort of living in the way that they're feeding themselves and fueling themselves? Yeah, cool.
Okay, so like, after my journey, like literally sometimes I'll be like, we were in Stradbroke Island recently and I was just walking around the pier and I was like, whoa, like I have so much energy. And you know, like even before, like for example, I went for a run with my mum a couple of years back and she was like past me, and I felt after that for 2 weeks that I couldn't do anything. Like now I had leaky gut and some other stuff going on, but for me what's healed so tremendously is energy, clarity, and my ability to digest food and feel like I'm really gaining from the food that I digest. Because before it was like I was, you know, I was like fully just vegan for a good few years, and in the beginning I felt absolutely amazing. It was cleaning up so much stuff, but then after a while it was like no matter what good I put in myself, no matter like anything, it just wasn't doing anything. And so I had to, you know, go on this healthful journey, and now it's like, yeah, my hair's growing back because it was really falling out. It's like so many different things, but the energy and the mental clarity and the emotional stability, not this psh, 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 you know, and the energy is consistent through the day.
Yeah, that's
So
the one.
I guess we'll share on some of the milestones that we went through,
Yeah,
because that's
please.
because I'll come right out and say that there is no like gold wand, magic wand to this is how you become healthy. Your body, you know, like everything else, goes through cycles and it goes through stages.
Yeah,
And if you've been loading it up with toxicity for decades,
yeah,
you have to unload that toxicity in stages as well. So it's not a matter of just go out and do the tofu and kale diet straight away. It's like start where you are and just start to cut out some of the rubbish.
yeah,
So for a lot of, I'm going to come right out and say it that I personally believe eating grain is not a good thing. That's going to trigger a lot of people because we love grain. So I'm talking, you know, particularly wheat. That's probably the number one. Now, it was a totally different story thousands of years ago when we had, you know, the as close to natural original genus that they used to grow back then, and the way that they would prepare it and the way that they would do different things like fermenting or sprouting the grain and, you know, making completely different types of bread that were easily digestible. But what we've got today is so far removed from that, it's not funny. No, I'm not even talking about GMO, I'm just talking about like the whole thing. So cutting things out that haven't been in our evolution, you know, for millions upon millions of years, there, you know, monkeys weren't going around chewing wheatgrass or even, you know, grinding it into flour and eating it. It's just not really very familiar to the human body. So I'd say, you know, start by just cutting things like that out of your diet, refined sugar.
To start.
Yeah, just that. That's going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, it's not this black and white thing, because we were talking the other night about Weston Price's book. There's a book by a guy called Weston Price. He was a dentist in the early 20th century, and he's got a book called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And he was a dentist from the US, and he started to get really curious about why his patients had such horrible teeth and, you know, what actually creates cavities. And so instead of just, you know, going and doing a survey or a study, he did a big world tour. This dentist jumped on a ship and traveled around the whole world and started going to all of these indigenous cultures who had, you know, been eating more or less the same thing for thousands of years. And what he noticed was they all were like perfect specimens of physical health. They didn't have chronic diseases. They didn't have cavities. They didn't have, you know, misshapen jaws and crowded teeth and all of these other things that we kind of accept as normal here. They didn't have any of that. And so he started researching and realized that within one single generation, when the Western diet was introduced to them, they started having all of these problems, arthritis, heart problems. Their jaws started growing in misshapen ways, and the teeth problems and cavities, and it's just, one generation. Exactly. And so what he realized was that it wasn't that they were all vegetarians.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's easy to get really dogmatic about diets and be like, vegan till I die, and everyone else should be a vegan, otherwise you're wrong and you're evil. It's like, no, like these indigenous people, they ate meat, they drank milk in many cases. They even ate grains in many cases, but they prepared them in a totally different way. So it's not one size fits all. It's about
the blood milk
getting,
we were talking about the other day.
One of the tribes in Africa that he visited, one of these particular Maasai tribes, they literally, like 90% of their diet is cow blood and cow milk.
Sounds delicious.
So to all the vegetarian, like all the vegans out there, that's...
Would you like it separate or
bit
together today?
confronting. Yeah, but it was like, you know, they respected the cows, and it comes back, and this whole discussion is so much bigger than just eat this, don't eat that.
Yeah.
It's about your connection and your relationship to the food.
Can you talk a bit more on that? Because that's where I feel like, especially my perspective, which is very limited, but I feel like that's the way I hear most people talk about it is do this, don't do that. Have this, don't have that. Go on this diet. These tells you what you can do. This is what tells you can't do. And it's just a big, long shopping list of shit you can do and shit you shouldn't do, and everyone's got a different one.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone does have a different one. Like, and this is the thing, like if you, I'm not exactly sure of the name of it at the moment, but like there's this Eastern way, like I think it's Chinese, somewhere from that aspect of the world where they go by blood type. And it's like they have this way of looking at the foods you shouldn't eat and that you should eat based on your blood type. And this is because like whether it's highly accurate or not, there's some understanding that different genetic predispositions are more okay with certain foods and less okay with others. So like when you go to a naturopath or someone like this, the first thing that they'll say, especially around allergens, is like, okay, keep a food journal. You know, so for me, it's definitely not a one size fits all. Keep a food journal. Like there are some populations in the world, just like Ben was saying about genetics and what they used to eat culturally before the Western diet was introduced. If people were having milk in their diets for generations and generations, they'd have more of a tolerance to it. But you get like Asians and Africans are less tolerant to milk because it wasn't a part of their diet for such a long time. And then there's all these things to consider, like what was seasonally available to your ancestors, because what grew in where your ancestors were from is what you're more genetically capable of handling, you know. So there's like when we were speaking to Siobhan, and she was like, she was advised to eat goji berries, but then she was thinking, well, is that a great idea? Because my ancestors probably never even saw a goji berry.
What's a goji berry?
It's like a very highly food, antioxidant powerhouse of the food. Yeah. So it's also looking at like what was available to your ancestors to see what your body will be more fit to handle. You know, what's seasonally available. And there's different things environmentally as well, and also about the way that the food is prepared. So someone could have milk from a farm that's prepared one way and be fine with it, and someone could have like really dairy industry milk and it makes them feel crappy, and it's because like it's got loads of antibiotics or this, that, the other in it. So someone just could have a sensitivity to the stuff that's in it, you know. So it's you have a very different response to the things, the way they're prepared, what your genes are, seasonal availability, goes on.
So
yeah, do you want to say something, Ben?
yeah, so I guess like for people hearing this, you know, what I wanted to know were what are the broad strokes of good health?
Yeah.
What are some like basic principles without saying eat this, don't eat that, that you can begin to incorporate into your life? And I would say number one is listen to your body.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah. And like I'm just gonna go and throw out there processed foods, like highly processed foods, and even like, okay, if you're getting your 5 a day, but they're all from canned veg, think about that. Like it's just not the same, you know? And so even just swapping out some of those things, going for foods that are less processed is
Yeah.
definitely going to be more beneficial to your body.
Can you give a few examples, maybe, and understandings? And I know it sounds simple enough as when we say listen to your body, but can you give some more tangible things? Because I think these sort of slapstick comments to people that have been in the work for a long time and spent a lot of time figuring that out and practicing and getting tested along those lines, it's sunk in. But for those that are still in that process of really trying to be analytical about everything, what are some tangible, practical tips are for listening to your body?
All right, so the first one I would say is after you eat a meal, just pay attention to how you feel for the next hour. If your energy just goes like that, if you feel like you need to go and sleep, if you feel like you feel a bit foggy and your energy is low, like that's a good sign that your body is struggling to digest that food.
Yeah.
Another
So we're not meant to feel tired after we eat.
Like it's normal to feel a little bit like you need to kind of rest a bit.
Rest and
you
digest.
know? Like you need to rest and digest, but not to feel like far out. I need to go and sleep, you know?
Yeah.
And like you can't concentrate on anything for the next couple of hours.
Yeah.
That's a really big point. Another one is pay attention to even really mild allergic responses. So one that I've begun to notice and are really key into this now is if my nose feels runny when I'm eating something, that's my body having a mild inflammation allergic response to it. So if you start sniffling when you're eating, you know, like a Big Mac, then your body's like, I don't want this. Your appetite wants it, but your body's like, I'm gonna struggle with this. Please don't put this in me. Another one a lot of people get is like your eyes will actually start, like if you pay attention to your physiology, all the signs are there.
Yeah.
If you start feeling like your eyes feel a bit watery or puff up a little bit, or you get like dark rings, that was something that I used to notice, and I can see it in other people, like got these dark rings going on. Your body again is like, yeah, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Just things like that. Just start to pay attention to every little subtle thing that goes on when you're eating food, and you'll start to see some patterns.
Yeah. And then signs that I kind of experience and that I know a fair few women would experience is like bloating. If you are bloated, please pay attention to this. This is not normal. Also, another one for women is really bad PMS. Not normal. It's a food thing. Like it's a pollutant in your body thing. So bloating, like males obviously get bloating as well. Headaches as well, you know, like, and how you feel the next day, because obviously your food doesn't completely leave your system. So if you wake up the next day feeling really groggy, something you ate the day before is probably not feeling right in your body.
You guys take food journals? Have you done that before?
Food journals?
Yeah, like journaling what you're eating and how you're feeling and just keeping track. Yeah.
Yeah, I have done.
And that's been pretty, because what I'm hearing really is it's all about just really being self-aware, just being so in tune and observant about what's going on, and just not just being blasé about day to day, just actually having a bit more consciousness and awareness to what's going on.
Yeah. And in terms of awareness around eating, if you look at it from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, like when you're eating, you really need to be present with food. Even in Ayurveda, it will say similar things. You you need to be present with your food. So not like eating and watching something else, or like doing this or doing that, because essentially what happens is energy is diverted from your digestive system to your eyes or to whatever else it is that you're doing. And so the blood flow comes away from the digestive system, and then your digestion is not apt. So it's just not going to be as effective. So you'll get the negative effects of not digesting your food properly, which includes not taking up the nutrients or what's going to give you energy as well.
That's pretty epic. That's pretty big.
Yeah, and so many people are eating on the run, and your body's not really registering that.
I've seen a few people that do like these 1 meal per day efforts, and there's some epic looking guys that have been doing this. Is that something you guys have looked at?
So yeah, people do this in different types of ways. I'll just jump in and give my piece right now. Like, that could be intermittent fasting, which is something that I definitely like to do, but I don't do 1 meal a day. I'll do 2, but it's essentially having like a 17-hour window where you're not eating, which allows your body to really digest the food adequately. You know, so it's like if you're getting your enough calories in what you're eating for you, enough energy, like calories is not always accurate, but if you're getting enough energy from the food that you're eating and nutrients, and then you fast for the rest of the day, it gives your body a lot of chance to heal, to digest, to renew and refresh for you.
Yeah, okay. I just like the thought of only eating one today for the efficiency factor.
So efficient.
Yeah.
Like when we've fasted, it's opened up space for so much other stuff. Like, honestly, it's so great. Not having to think about food is amazing.
And not pooping.
And that too.
So much fun saved.
You got to poop sometimes. If you stop pooping altogether, that's a problem.
I did 12-day fast, and I think I stopped pooping at like day 3 or 4.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's full on.
So much time for activities.
Yeah.
Drawing pictures of food, reading about food, watching like food infomercials.
People just starting to look like big steaks. I'm salivating, just walking down the street. So, could you guys share with me a bit more about the foods that release that thing that makes your gut unhappy, and what we chatted about the other day, because that was what are they called?
Lectins.
Lectins.
Yeah.
Yes. You sound like an evil villain.
Lectins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about these crazy little fuckers.
All right, this is really controversial. I'm just putting it out there. Again, this will trigger people. There's a guy called Dr. Gundry, and he's a US doctor, and I got really interested in this because I've been getting a lot more interested in plant life lately. It's just been a bit of one of those interests. Yeah, we must be getting older, so soon we're going to be out there gardening and stuff. But the intelligence in plants is just incredible, so incredible how adaptable these beings are.
Yeah.
So I started getting interested in that and reading about that, and I came across this guy, Dr. Gundry, and he wrote this book called The Plant Paradox. And in the book, he talks about how, as an evolutionary strategy, some plants will put themselves out there. We call these the floozy plants, and get people to eat them and spread their genes. And you can draw your own parallels
Cheeky
there.
floozies.
Yeah. So examples would be, fruit-bearing plants, and in the fruit is contained the seed. The plant somehow came up with this wild idea that it would stay green and would not give off pleasant scents until it was fully ripe and fully developed, meaning the seed inside it was fully developed, upon which time the plant would start releasing aromas into the air and attract all kinds of animals and, all kinds of different creatures, which would come and eat it and then go poop it and spread it. That's one strategy. You know, another
Classic.
strategy, cannabis.
Classic move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, gives you a really great high, and consequently, human beings have been cultivating it for thousands of years, and we're very fond of it. And now, you know, cannabis can be found all over the world. It's just another one of those strategies. Another strategy is the protective kind of strategy, where if you eat me, I'll kill you. It's like, I don't want you to eat me. So there's many plants, like you've got nightshades, and you've got many seeds and grains and different things, and a lot of nuts that contain what are known as lectins. And lectins are basically just chemical weapons to stop animals from eating that plant. And so these are actually really abundant in a lot of the foods that we just accept as that's healthy,
Yeah.
you know?
Because they're a nut or a plant. But
Yeah, because it's a plant. It's like, oh, you know, if I eat
Yeah.
lots of plants, I'll be healthy.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
re-tagging this as bio as chemical warfare. We'll
Cool.
get more views.
I like that. Yeah.
Share the love more. That's hectic. So then you go a bit more into like the effects that it has and what's actually going on when we eat these, and the ins and outs of it.
So basically, you know, upon eating, for example, if a mammal went and just ate a whole bunch of raw grain, what would happen to that mammal is the grain would go into their digestive tract, and these lectins would be released into the gut lining, which basically tear little abrasions in the gut lining and cause irritation, cause bloating, cause discomfort, and ultimately cause leaky gut, which creates all kinds of problems. So that animal would feel really uncomfortable after they ate that grain. And so that was the plant strategy. And so it's the same thing with many nuts, different kinds of nuts, many seeds, grains. There are even a lot of vegetables that create a similar kind of effect. And so we can say that for the most part, unless we cook the shit out of those foods, they're not going to be good for us. For example, I was blown away by this. If you eat 4 raw kidney beans, you will die. 4 kidney beans. And that's how much toxicity is loaded up in these things. So Dr. Gundry, in his book, in his work, he just talks about, okay, this is a case of what is okay, what's not okay. And, cultures that lived tribally, indigenous, with the land, with the same land for thousands of years, with the same kind of species, they got used to what's good for me, what creates problems. And so they were very in tune with that. And they knew what to eat and what not to eat and how to prepare certain foods. In the West, whatever we can cut, label, package, and make a profit on, it's good to eat. All good. And then you can come back to us and buy pharmaceuticals to deal with all of your host of problems that's going to create. As long as that wheel keeps
All the
churning,
freebies.
all the
The freebies that come with the supermarket food.
as long as we're making profit, we good. We good.
Yeah.
So that's definitely worth checking out.
And there's this whole thing of trends as well. In terms of the food industry, it's like, okay, what's seen as healthy right now? Oh, people are really on plants. Oh, they're still wondering where they get their protein from. Let's really push beans. Like supermarkets, like Coles or whatever, who really, they don't care about the animals or whatever, but they're pushing like plant alternatives and saying, this is healthy, blah, 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 because they know it's going to make them a profit. And so not everything that's packaged as healthy or, good for you is actually good for you. It's just like some people are just pushing things because it's on trend. It's going to make them some money. It's like...
Yeah, well, you see a product that's out there and it might have high in fiber or high in protein written on the package because that's what they want to grab your attention by.
Exactly.
But it's got 15 or 25 different ingredients in it, and they've just randomly plucked out the one that they know is the buzzword of the day. It's going to grab the most attention. And so it's really, I've heard this concept of false advertising, but I've never heard it be implemented in the ways which it seems like it's being done all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So don't
Okay.
trust anybody.
Don't
Do
trust
your
it.
research, and like if you can't, you know, like a good, if you can't pronounce the things that are on the foods, have a second look, check into what they are.
Yeah.
Unless you're super simple, then
Yeah.
ask someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
and so
fewer the ingredients, the better.
yeah, true. So you guys don't eat meat at all, is that right at the moment?
I eat a bit of fish here and there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we have eggs from good sources, where the chickens are treated like royalty. Um,
Mhm.
but for me personally, I don't have an attachment to, meat's bad, this is good. I more think of it from a integrated perspective, and I go, cool. So if I'm, you know, in some remote part of Africa where they've been, eating this kind of food, they've been hunting these kind of animals for a long, long time, and they have respect and they have a sense of when enough is enough. If we overhunt these animals, they're all going to be wiped out, and that's not going to be good. And where they actually have a sense of respect for the animal to the point where it's not a we're just going to dominate you thing. It's a thank you for sharing your life with us. And it's a different exchange compared to factory farming where animals are treated like little money machines and they're not given any respect. So I'm okay with eating meat in that kind of context, and I wouldn't judge anyone who eats meat. But it's just about the context, it's about the respect, and you got to look at the ecology, the whole system.
Yeah.
That's what I'm big on. How does this fit into the bigger system?
Yeah.
And how does that affect not just you and that animal and your family? How does that affect the whole world? That's what's important.
So what's some places then where the average person that sort of hears the perks of eating healthy and figuring out what's right for their body and also doing good by the animals and the planet, what's some places they can start going, or some things that they can start doing immediately? And yeah, I'll start with that, to start with, and then I've got another question as well. But what's the things they can start doing, do you feel?
You got any resources like books or good people to look into?
You're more with the books.
A lot of these books were ones I read way back in the day. So I would just start, go to your library, go pull out 5 books on health and well-being. Okay, there's a couple come into memory. There's one called The Man Who Lived Across 3 Centuries. That's a good one.
You would know a thing or two?
Yep. Check out the China study. That's all about animal protein versus plant protein and the high incidence of chronic disease among Westerners compared to Eastern cultures. And it has a big focus on animal protein and the effects that creates. But don't buy too much into that and just be like, animal protein's completely evil. But it's a good comparison of, hey, everyone's got cancer and heart disease over here, and almost no one has it over here. I wonder what's going on there. So that's a great one.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah, the China study. Another great one particularly for people who have gut issues and they're aware of discomfort in their gut and things like brain fog or mood imbalances that can't really be explained. Check out Grain Brain.
Yeah.
Grain Brain.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, it's a great book. Yeah.
So for me, my journey was more about I began really exploring Ayurveda and
Deepak's my man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it extends way beyond Deepak, but he's definitely a huge advocate of it and teacher in that field. But yeah, Ayurveda and TCM were really when I began to personalize this journey for my body. So obviously, for me in the beginning of my journey, it was actually an intuitive thing to cut meat and dairy products out of my diet. And it was for me starting to cleanse things out and find that balance, that homeostasis within myself. But then that, you know, there were so many reasons that people around me were doing this cutting meat out at the time, but for me it was just intuitive. So I really say to people, listen to your body. Like, start with listening. The books, they're there, definitely go and read them, but hear what your body is saying as well. Do your research, you know, don't just trust the next fad that's coming out, especially if it's just because all the celebs are having acai bowls or whatever it is. Like, go and see what's best for you, because for someone, an acai bowl could cause a lot of damp in their body and is not good for their, like, in Ayurveda, their dosha, or good for their system. So I really say to people, explore what works for you, do the food journey, study what is more personal to your body through all of that educational research as well.
What do you find that the biggest pushback is to taking this journey? Maybe what was your biggest pushback to start with, and what do you find it in others?
Well, I think, like, okay, in the beginning, you know, people just used to take the mick out of not eating meat. I really didn't understand why it was so funny. It's just like, okay, if that's what you want to do. So there was a big pushback against, like, why don't you eat meat? Why are you vegan? Why are you so difficult? Then there was also this pushback on the gluten thing. And it's like, I don't understand why anyone cares what I do. But
everyone cares what you're doing, Ken.
Like, why is it a problem? I don't understand.
Because you're weird.
Weird.
You're not one of us.
Goddamn weirdo.
You're different.
Because I have to use a different chip fryer at work. That, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, you can't use the same chip fryer in
There's
some
one in every bunch.
restaurants if they've had gluten in them. So.
Yeah. That's honestly, for me too, that's probably the biggest pushback. Friends and family thinking you're a kook. And then also your body.
Thanks,
probably, yeah, your body will give you some kickback as well if you've got a chronic sugar addiction.
Yeah.
And when you start cutting some of these problematic things out of your diet, and you might even start having some detox stuff go on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, oh, I feel high, I feel like I'm going to die, I feel, you know, I'm craving, I'm angry.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is progress.
Yeah.
Your body is adjusting to a new way of being, and it's releasing some of that shit that's been in there for so long.
Yeah.
So go with that.
Another pushback is, like, say you're going out to eat socially, like, you're going to be pushing back on yourself, like, oh, you know, just this one night, or just, no. Like, honestly, think about it before you do it, because, like, you can do it and then just feel like crap. And it's difficult. The social eating thing is like, just find alternatives. You know, there are so many alternatives nowadays. It's unreal. Like, it's amazing. But the pushback you have with yourself is also something to watch out for. It's not just what other people are saying, because at the end of the day, that's just a reflection of whatever's going on inside of you anyway.
Can we talk about ego and food just real quick?
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say as well, like, just for those watching that have been watching other episodes as well, like, this is, yes, we're talking about food at the moment, but we're talking about every addiction that's coming out. Like, the pushback or the pullback is the withdrawals that people get from other substances, and the mindsets to overcome any sort of ailment or anything that's sort of mastering your behavior or mastering your energy or mastering you in any way, in order to have that fall away and really to kill that aspect of yourself off, so another more beautiful version of you can blossom.
Yeah.
This is all the mindsets that's translatable. So yeah, man, let's hook into this ego and food and how that plays a part, please.
Yeah, so just real quick, you know, looking at it from a more philosophical, spiritual way, your ego, its basic objective is to maintain whatever you are right now and to keep you locked in that bubble. So your ego loves quick fixes, gratification, like sugar hits, you know, fat and, you know, heaps of salt and really, really flavorsome things
Oily stuff as
that
well.
just pacifies the ego. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, I feel good, I feel comfortable, I feel okay. And when you take that away, you'll notice your emotions just can flip out.
Yeah.
And so the challenge there is to, you know, along with this food journey, it's very much a spiritual journey where spiritual beings, I believe, in a physical body, so they go hand in hand. So you should be, you know, it's a great thing to practice meditation and mindfulness and, you know, incorporate movement into this journey as well, because while you're improving your diet, your energy is going to change. And you want to be cleaning your body by doing, you know, whether it's weights or running or yoga or Pilates or dancing or whatever it is, that's going to really improve and speed up this whole process and make it great for you. So it all goes together, body, mind, soul, it all ties into one.
Yeah.
So hit it on all fronts. Don't just focus on your diet, focus on your spirituality and your emotions and your mindset and all that stuff.
Yeah. And like just to add on to that, like when you're coming away from certain foods, you will notice so many of your attachments, like what this food meant to you. Like this food, like some food was symbolic, like root vegetables could really have reminded you of, like, you know, if you're in the UK or in Melbourne or whatever, of winter and being cozy, you know, like that could have reminded you of a great time. And then you might be like, oh, I'm going to have less of those since they're loaded with sugar or whatever. But you might have some kickback around that. And it's like, okay, so what meaning was I placing on these foods?
Yeah.
You know, like, and it could be something like you weren't, you know, we need healthy fats in our diets, but someone might be like, oh, fat, isn't that supposed to be bad for you? Like, it's a very old paradigm, but someone might still experience that. And it's like, okay, what is that saying about you on another level? Because it's a symbolic thing too. So you'll be very aware of like the attachments you have around food, eating, and those kind of things, and letting go of attachments.
I read The Easy Way to Quit Smoking and The Easy Way to Control Your Alcohol by Alan Carr when I was stopping drinking and smoking. And especially what the whole books are about is going through every single excuse and potential meaning that you've given to things, and attach things to the past and just carry that through and just like releasing them and recognizing what they are for what they are. And what a profound experience.
Yeah.
And you can see it with food as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, full on. So where from here, guys, for you guys, what are you, I guess, hoping to do with this? Like you guys have a couple of brains full of knowledge and some epic experiences and some epic stories. Like, are you actively getting this out there at the moment, or is this just your own sort of hobby and your own journey still that you journeying with, or you're working with clients specifically? I know you're coaching and doing different stuff, but is this involved with that, or?
A bit of both. Health hasn't been something that I've been involved so much with clients exactly, but it's like something that we both share very willingly. But yeah, just I guess to wrap it up, it's like we're both wanting to share this information. Definitely myself is something that I love to share. And I wanted to add this earlier as well, like in terms of people who might be having candida or any adverse reactions to food, like really check out Diatomaceous Earth. It's been great for us recently.
Which one?
Diatomaceous Earth.
What earth?
Diatomaceous. It's like fossilized plants in a powder form, food grade. Essentially, it's amazing for cleansing. Yeah, that's another time, but.
Right, maybe put in the comments.
It's really powerful shit.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Like I've tried many cleansers, and that's the one.
That's for cleansing. What is it? What do the cleansers do? For those
so
that don't know.
If you want to reset your gut health, that's cleansing is like out with the old, create a healthy environment. Your gut is like another brain. Create that healthy environment and begin your journey.
We should do another one of these. I feel like there's a lot more.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
It always is, man. It's like we not sure where it's going to flow to, and then when you get into flow, it's like, all right, we only just really ticked off the topic titles of what we can go into.
Oh yeah,
So,
for For sure.
Epic. Well, yeah, let's jump back on in maybe a week or two, or whenever suits you guys, and yeah, let's continue it on. I think that'll be awesome.
And if anyone has any questions, it would be awesome because then we could answer them in the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, great call. So guys, put your questions down. Those that are watching the replay, chuck your questions in here. I'll skim through, and I mean, we'll all go through and answer them bit by bit, or just touch base with you guys, but we'll take them into the next episode and have a good chat and really divulge and unpack a few of them as well.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Beautiful. Cool, guys. Man, Cam, Ben, thanks for joining us. That's, yeah, you gave me another mind-blowing experience as always. So thank you. And
awesome.
I'm sure you've given, yeah, these guys have got a lot of, I hope they had the notepad and pen out and were taking lots of notes, but yeah.
If we're coming back in a week, guys, do a journal or something.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we can talk about that next week. That would be awesome.
That's a good idea. Yeah, actually, all right. So food journal, understanding where you're at with things, what you're putting into your body, the things that come up and the things that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then, all right, sick.
Yeah, we'll get into it next week.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you again. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening, everyone, or day if you're watching the replay. And yeah, look forward to the next one. We'll let everyone know when the next one's coming up very soon.
Sweet.
Thanks, Maddie.
Awesome.
Legend.
Bye.
Keep it real, guys. Bye.
Yeah.